Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is now just 10 days away from its official release by writer and director J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio, as well as creator George Lucas. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, one thing about Episode 9 that a lot of fans are very concerned about is exactly how Disney and Lucasfilm are going to approach The Rise of Skywalker and how it's really going to connect to the past 8 Star Wars movies that come before this one. But it's not just that. Disney and Lucasfilm are also focused on the future of the franchise, everything ranging from the new trilogy to Disney Plus to other projects currently in the works, even the new Star Wars universe. Now, on top of all of this, you guys actually may have heard what Bob Iger, was talking about just the other day, of how they are actually changing the Star Wars franchise. And not just that, when we look at Star Wars as a whole, these actual Star Wars films and the TV series that are currently in the works, Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy, and Disney have a big plan in place to completely change the Star Wars franchise, which may be for better or worse. We'll have to wait and see. But from the sounds of it, it may actually be quite a decision by themselves that actually might divide the fans and really create quite a stir. Now, on top of all of this, it's actually explained that the Disney and Lucasfilm focusing on Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, their new Star Wars trilogy, and Disney Plus with their live-action TV series. It said that going into the 2020s, Lucasfilm has other plans for the future of the Star Wars franchise, and that they want to restart the franchise and give their approach to the Star Wars films a hard reset. It's explained that their reset has to do with Disney and Lucasfilm wanting the future films of the franchise to focus more on common moviegoers and to focus less on fans, and that their new expanded universe also will change aspects of the original and prequel trilogy films. Now, this reset by Disney and Lucasfilm is best explained as them carrying the franchise in their own way after the release of The Rise of Skywalker, and that this will also apply to the Disney Plus TV series like Kenobi, Cassian, Mando, and more. Now, it said that these changes by Disney and Lucasfilm will also focus less on the fan base and try to build the Star Wars franchise toward the general audience, where one does not need to be a fan to understand the Star Wars franchise or its lore and history. This shift was said to have been done by Kathleen Kennedy over at Lucasfilm to handle the franchise in a different way that would benefit every moviegoer that sees the future films and TV series on Disney Plus. This change was said to have taken place right around when Disney and Lucasfilm decided they wanted to reshoot a large segment of The Rise of Skywalker during the months of August, September, and October, where this change was also due to Disney and Lucasfilm wanting to make the Star Wars films perform better at the box office, and that they will be modeling the future of the franchise based on the MCU. The future films and other projects will be in the form of a new Star Wars universe, where all the TV series and movies will connect just how the Marvel projects are treated currently in the MCU. So let's go over a couple of parts about this and why I think some fans out there are going to disagree with this. Now, the thing about Star Wars, my big thing about this is that Star Wars is not Marvel. And that's the only problem with the new Star Wars universe that Disney and Lucasfilm are planning. And that, by the way, this is Lucasfilm's plan to restart the franchise. And what I mean by restarting the franchise is that they are planning to handle the entire franchise in a completely different way than how they were actually handling it with the sequel trilogy and other spin-off films like Rogue One and Solo. Not just that, it's also going to apply to Disney Plus. So basically, the entire Star Wars franchise is going to be treated in a different way, and basically they're going to be restarting, hitting the reset button of the Star Wars franchise and doing things a different way. Now, this also applies to the new canon material, such as books, novels, comics. The list goes on. And the thing that I think really worries a lot of fans out there is that whether or not this is going to be a very bad thing for the Star Wars franchise. This also matches directly with what Bob Iger said the other day, that they are moving on from Star Wars fans. Basically, they are not going to rely on Star Wars fans, or they're not going to feel a burden, essentially, to Star Wars fans that really have, grown up with the franchise. They want to focus on the general audience, the common moviegoers, in order to take Star Wars in a different direction. So, modeling the future of this franchise after the MCU, why I believe that this is a big mistake is because, well, At the end of the day, Star Wars is not Marvel. It's not the same exact format, and when you make it into that format, it's not going to feel the same. Yes, Star Wars has its own feel and tone, and it should remain that way, and I think the way that they're treating this new Star Wars universe to model after the MCU, I think is obviously because Disney and Lucasfilm are looking for ways for Star Wars to make as much revenue as it can, pretty much possibly do. When we look at the box office results of The Last Jedi and Solo: A Star Wars Story, they weren't quite as well as The Force Awakens. We have seen this steady decline of the box office results of, the Star Wars franchise. And with The Rise of Skywalker, with the actual trailer getting, not as many views, not even nearly as many views as The Last Jedi's final trailer, or even The Force Awakens' final trailer, I think it's proof that it shows that there's a lot of fans that are moving on and or just kind of looking at the Star Wars franchise in a less serious way, how Disney and Lucasfilm are running things right now, especially Kathleen Kennedy. And let's get to Kathleen Kennedy. Now, this is all said to be Kathleen Kennedy's idea of really kind of restarting the franchise and handling things differently and modeling it after the MCU. So modeling it after the MCU, I think, is the biggest mistake. The other mistake is that they are going to be using the movies in a different way of making it toward common moviegoers. And the problem with that is that basically the people that go ahead and see the new Star Wars projects in the future are not looking for anything specific. This way, Disney and Lucasfilm can make whatever they want, right? Basically, it can just be a sci-fi series with a Star Wars brand slapped on top of it. It could be as simple as that, and Disney and Lucasfilm can actually call it Star Wars. That's the direction things are heading in, from what it seems, is that they can just make whatever they want and throw Star Wars right on there, and it doesn't need any history. It doesn't need any Star Wars lore that the fans are familiar with. They are moving on from that, apparently, right now, and that is a part of their reset of the franchise. Now, does this apply to every single Star Wars movie that's currently in the works? That's a big question open on the table for discussion. We do know that there's a new trilogy in the works and other Star Wars films that Disney and Lucasfilm are prepping with Kevin Feige and other producers out there and other directors and writers that want to get on with the Star Wars franchise and really get things going. So, depending on how The Rise of Skywalker performs at the box office is a major, indicator on whether or not things are going to look bright for the franchise or things are going to look rather dark for the franchise. It really does all depend on Episode 9's success. And when we look at this movie, right, The Rise of Skywalker, this movie does have a lot of risks involved, such as bringing back Palpatine in the flesh, and, of course, having Rey becoming the Chosen One and taking that title by destroying the Sith once and for all. That's a big problem with the actual movie, is that there are going to be elements like that that a lot of fans are not going to agree with. So, that's the first step, is that Disney and Lucasfilm are using The Rise of Skywalker in order to really cater to a general audience. That's exactly why a lot of reshoots and rewrites took place. In fact, I don't know if you guys saw the news today, but the art book of The Rise of Skywalker has now been delayed until spring of 2020. Now that really does open up a lot of questions. Why would they delay the art book of The Rise of Skywalker? That really does kind of make you wonder to yourself exactly what's going on behind the scenes over at Disney and Lucasfilm. This most likely has to do with the reshoots that happened, because it's actually said that 30% of the film was reshot, and that could also explain as to why the art book is now delayed until next year. It was supposed to come out this month, giving us a little glimpse into the original ideas of the film and concept art of Rey, Kylo, Palpatine, and more. It's most likely that they are modeling the art book now on the new cut of The Rise of Skywalker, and they're trying to cover their tracks of what they were originally going to do for this movie before they made these massive changes and these big adjustments to the film in order to make it cater to the general audience. So, with that being said, I would really like to hear what each and every one of you have to say about all of this below in the comments and this entire situation. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.